Hello everyone, welcome you all to the sixth episode of IMT Center for Distance Learning Alumni Achievers Peaks show today. IMT Center for Distance Learning for past 3 decades has been instrumental in carving the careers of its students and enabling them to reach newer heights in their profession. IMT CDL takes pride in its 30,000 strong alumni and recognizes their achievements and contributions to the industry and society. The institute regularly organizes alumni events where the alumni can connect with each other, share their experiences, and contribute to the growth and development of the society. IMT Center for Distance Learning confers Distinguished Alumni Awards to honor our alumni who have made a mark in the society and the corporate world. The awards are given for contributions in towards society or public service, entrepreneurship, and corporate excellence in various areas like marketing, finance, HR, operations, and technology. To know about the exemplary contribution made by the alumni awardees and to inspire other alumni and existing students, we invite our awardees as a guest in Achievers Peak series. For today's Achievers Peak series, I have with me Ms Shubha Singh. Welcome, Shubha.
Thank you, sir.
Shubha is a BCom Honours graduate from Hansraj College, Delhi University, a law graduate, company secretary, CFA and MBA from IMT CDL. Ms. Shubha has been conferred the Corporate Excellence Award in Finance during Alumni Meet 2024 for her commendable contributions toward finance, corporate governance, contracting, risk management, compliance and legal, litigation and non-litigations, leading holistically towards financial excellence. Congratulations, Shubha.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Ms. Shubha is a Senior Vice President in ATS Infrastructure Ltd. She has demonstrated seasoned leadership in the corporate sector, contributing to business strategy for governance, growth and profitability. She is serving as an independent woman director in both listed and unlisted companies. Her expertise is in secretarial, finance and legal functions encompassing fundraising, risk management and compliance. Ms. Singh's transformative contribution have played a pivotal role in reshaping business, mitigating business risk and achieving significant cost reductions. Shubha, tell us something about your journey till date.
First of all, a very good morning to all our viewers today and of course to Dean sir. And thank you so much for inviting me here today. I'm really honored by this, Corporate Excellence Award that you've conferred upon me. And thank you so much for finding me worthy of this honor. It's really a very big thing for me. Thank you. So I started working in 1999 and I started working with Saw Pipes. It's a listed company as a management trainee for CS. And this is my silver jubilee year. I'm completing 25 years now of work.
Oh wow, congratulations for that.
Thank you so much. And when I started off, even I did not know what the journey would be like, and life is very different. It's very unpredictable. We do not know what it has in store for us. And of course, we all have big dreams about ourselves, especially when we are studying and we are from good institutes. We have good faculty, good mentors who always egg us on to do better. In the corporate also, lots of times we find very nice and supportive colleagues and seniors. And I've been very fortunate that way because I always had a lot of support from everybody in the system, especially at the workplace, And I won quite a few awards at the workplace also in different companies for whatever little contribution I made. And I started off primarily as a company secretary and in the legal role, and the governance, risk, compliance. I've been the company secretary and KMP of listed companies, and looking after the entire governance piece, the risk, the compliance, and it all spills over also into funding and corporate finance, because all of these functions are not standalone, they are not in silos, they do not operate in silos, rather they are inextricably linked to each other, because we cannot have any kind of capital structuring or restructuring, any kind of fundraising, any kind of M&A or IPO activity without the entire legal compliance piece coming into play. So that is how the whole thing, and especially I have very good exposure to corporate structuring, restructuring, and lending. So the due diligence piece, because it's very comprehensive and it encompasses a lot of departments, out of which I'm only heading 4-5 functions, like the entire CS function, the legal, the loan documentation piece, the compliance piece, and the due diligence. So that is how it's easier to do a due diligence and to get the money in. And later on we have the execution of loan documents, the vetting, the drafting, the charge creation, because mostly if you see when money comes in, it's going to be through secured sources, because lenders will not just go and give unsecured loans. It's very difficult, especially if the amounts are large. So usually it's a secured loan, and there's a lot of securitization which comes into play, and charge creation. So that's how.
So since you're starting, you did BCom honors from Delhi University, which is a very vibrant university.
Yes, sir.
Then getting into company secretarial, legal and everything. Again, like most of the times, the student faces this problem. They're not clear regarding what they want to do. So how was it with you?
Even I was not very clear on what I wanted to do. I think we just keep talking to different people and keep, taking advice in situations. And this was, in the 1990s, and there was not even, proper advice or professional advice which was available, for professionals. I mean, what kind of profession you want to get into. So we just used to keep hearing talks and seminars which were conducted by different institutes. And come home and discuss with our parents, okay, what should we do and how should we go about it, and discuss with our friends. But I think, it's like a flower which, sort of blooms. So slowly it will unfold, and I think that's how professional life is also. So at the beginning, nobody knows where we're going to reach. But yes, there has to be some kind of clarity that, okay, I would like to work in finance, or maybe I would like to work in marketing, or I would like to get into IT or operations. Whether somebody is a STEM student or somebody is using more of the right brain and getting into creativity, So usually we see that STEM students use more of their left brain oriented. So that much clarity, I think, it automatically comes. And then we have a lot of God-gifted talents also. That also we get to know over a period of time. And I think parents are the best guides often.
Yes, absolutely true. They know the child's strength and weaknesses very well. They might not be spelling it out, but they understand, and then they guide. And even for the student perspective also, most of the times we know this is something we do not want to do.
Yes.
So we are very clear in those terms. But what we want to do, that we have to do and explore. And that itself, the fun is exploring and then gradually see the things unfolding. And that is the fun of life.
Yes, and once we master a few pieces or a few, knowledge bases, then of course we keep adding to our plate, So we want to take flavor of other departments, other functions also, and I think that's how we learn a little more.
Yes. So again, a very simple advice to all of our listeners and our students and even the professionals: let the life come across to you. You're going to see lot many colors which are unfurling, lot many folds which are being opened up, and gradually you would be able to see across lot many things coming in front of you. So have patience. Right?
Yes.
So gradually the things would be coming in front and you would be getting your due. That is for sure.
Sometimes I think we even get more than our due.
Absolutely true. Absolutely true. Further, I would like to put across a few more things about Ms. Shubha. Like she has experienced fundraising of over rupees 10,000 crores. That's huge. And looks after the investor relations. How can again, like when we talk about raising the funds, a big question comes: how can corporate raise funds? And more importantly, like most of people know that these are the different ways, but what is the right time for any business to think about fundraising?
Certainly. So when we talk of any business, what is primarily any business's goal? What is the objective? It is always to maximize shareholder value. And in that process, there has to be a trade-off, an informed trade-off between risk and return, right? Also, we have to see what is the purpose for which we are looking for funds, for additional funds. What is the time period? Is it a short term? Is it a medium term? Is it a long term? Do we have expansion plans? Are we coming up with new projects? And how much is the amount, the corpus, additional corpus that is needed? This can be, capital can be raised in many ways. We have to see whether we want to raise through equity or we want to raise debt. If we want to repay the money because we feel the ROI would be very high, so then maybe we can go in for debt. At times we feel that we want money on a going basis for a very long period of time, wherein we may want to increase our capital base. We also have to see the debt equity ratio and the current leverage position. So if you're already leveraged and the debt equity ratios are not looking too good, so then it is better to raise equity rather than going in for more debt and creating a problem in terms of sustainability going forward. Because equity is something which you do not have to return. So equity can also be, it can be either simply your equity share capital or it can be a preference share capital. Preference share capital, you have to see there will be a fixed outgo every year, in terms of the coupon rate. And in equity, there are various ways. You can go public, you can have an IPO, you can have a follow-on public offer, we can have a preferential allotment wherein we are allotting shares to few existing shareholders. If we want to give an option to all the shareholders and raise money from all of them, we can go in for a rights issue. So there are various ways of doing it. If we talk of debt, so then again, debentures are one of the very popular instruments. They can be non-convertible debentures, partially convertible debentures, optionally convertible debentures. Each one can have, again, in turn, how much percentage would be converted into equity, what are the voting rights that we will be giving to them in case they, exercise that option of converting into equity. Then there's a working capital loans, which of course includes your bank guarantees and those things also. Then there are term loans if you're coming up with some big project and you want money for maybe 3 years or 5 years. Then we have commercial paper, we have bonds, and last but not the least, we have fixed deposits. A lot of corporates also take fixed deposits, though of course the compliance in that is a little more. But yes, that is also a very viable option. So there are various ways of raising funds, and it depends on the situation, and that is how we advise corporates accordingly.
Whenever we are planning to raise the funds, there's always like certain risk which is being involved in that. So one is the timing risk, and second is the business risk which is being involved. So how can that risk be assessed? How can a person understand? It seems very easy that I can go and get across the funds, but the underlying risk, how to really assess it?
A lot of it depends on how clear the company management is on its goals and objectives. What are they raising money for, the time period, the purpose, and the intent. So accordingly, risk will unfold and we will get to know. Risk analysis, identification, that whole process is very important. Mostly it is done by the lenders. And at times during the due diligence process, suppose you're going for an IPO or raising funds from the public, even if you're doing a preferential allotment, whoever is opting for those shares would like to understand the business and the projections in detail. There's a management discussion analysis report which is very detailed. It talks about the economy, the sector, the business, the prospects of the company, the management, and it does analysis basis of all these factors. Of course, ratio analysis is very important. Your various financial statements and trend analysis is very important. So this is how risk is usually identified and assessed accordingly.
In today's scenario, we are seeing many news which are there, like the companies which have raised many funds and then they were not able to actually maintain their business or certain things goes wrong. So any advice that you like to give across to the corporates, like there are so many big giants which were there and they have faced such a
Sometimes
problem.
we
Yeah.
see that there are sins of over leverage or over expansion or misutilization of funds. These are the main three things that we identify, because of which businesses go down or they may not be performing as per what they had expected that they would do. Sometimes there are external forces which come into play. There could be regulatory, there could be international risk, there could be the country risk which comes into play, especially if you are having foreign transactions, you know, your foreign currency exchange rates also play an important role. Sometimes war or maybe the COVID, unprecedented, these
Unprecedented,
kind of
yes.
events also happen, which just disrupt everything. But in general, I feel that if the intent is proper and finances are managed properly, and people are sticking to their plans, whatever were their projections, whatever were their plans for the next 3 years, 5 years, and money is utilized properly, then there are very few chances of going wrong.
We see at one end there's a corporate finance. We can similarly at another end I see like every individual household is also a bundle of finances. Okay.
Certainly.
There's going to be an inflow and outflow which is going across into that, and we say that it is a personal finance which is actually being done. You know. And most of the times the individual households also get trapped into that debt trap, into that cycle. Okay. So what do you advise how any individual should manage the personal finance?
As you rightly said, so a household is very much like a corporate, It's a small corporate only, because there's a cost center, there's a revenue center, there's a profit center, all of those things are there. And I think we have to be very prudent and cautious, especially in our financial decisions, because finances play a very important role, be it a corporate or in personal life. Finance is the lifeline, and whether we like it or we don't, but mismanaged finances cause more trouble and unhappiness than any other event in life. And at the other end of the spectrum, it can also cause a lot of happiness and open doors which were not opened earlier. So it's very important to be prudent in our financial decisions and to take responsibility for our own finances and our own future. In general, I advise everybody that you should always have a buffer of 6 months monthly expenses. So you may not like to keep it in a savings account, but you can keep it in a liquid or near liquid, like maybe a mutual fund or a fixed deposit, in a bank, or some such investment whenever you want, within 2 days, you can liquidate that money and get that money in your account. So 6 months monthly expenses have to be accessible to you, your family, whenever needed, in case there is any exigency. Besides that, keep your expenses low and try to, increase the top line, as we say. Increase the top line, keep the expenses low, your bottom line should increase. There should be a profit, there should be an investment every month, month on month, starting from your first income which you earn. Because if you think, okay, I'll start right now, I'm earning too little, I'll start saving or investing after maybe 2 years when I reach a particular level, it doesn't help, because even students should start saving and investing from an early age. It will not only give you the discipline, but you will also start taking interest in various financial instruments and investment options. And you'll start thinking, your mind will get activated about how you can get a proper return on your investments, whatever, even if they are small. If you're starting very small, maybe just starting saving your pocket money, but you'll find that over a period of time, even that will become a nice corpus, wherein you can start making investments and start taking bigger decisions with that. Sometimes I see people, they spend a lot on ostentatious consumption without thinking too much about the future or their investments. Probably they just want to look nicer compared to other people and be more, reputed or whatever. But the thing is, we have to see our pocket. So for instance, these days I see, suppose somebody, for instance, I'm just giving an example, somebody's bringing home 1 lakh rupees a month, and he buys a car. Now, even if the EMI is very little, it's just 15,000 rupees a month. 5,000 rupees per month would be your running, maintenance, insurance, all those costs, all put together. So if you see 2.5 months income annually, you're spending only on your conveyance. If you have a monthly, if you've bought a house also, and suppose you're paying an EMI of only 30,000 rupees per month, before you know it, there'll be 3.5 months money which is being paid only as EMI. If your household expense is only say 40,000 or 50,000, another 7-8 months expense, income is going there. So before you know it, you have just break even. You reach the break even point. And right now we are not even talking of any investment except that house. So no other investments. The other thing is we should always diversify our investments, not keep all the money in just one investment. It should always be a diversified portfolio so that the risk is streamlined.
Absolutely true. This is a wonderful way of really understanding the things. Most of the times we say that there's an EMI, but for EMI also there's a cost which is actually behind it.
EMIs are very expensive, and even if you are buying a house, see, one thing is do not spend too much on depreciable assets. So in layman language, they say a car or a laptop or a computer or a foreign trip or whatever, these are all assets, in a way. But it's not an asset, it's a depreciable asset. Okay, it's actually a liability if you look at it. A house is certainly an asset. If you're investing maybe in mutual funds or in some kind of financial instruments or some commodities, that is again an asset. We have to understand the difference between what is an asset, what is a liability. Whatever you're putting your money in, you should be able to get some returns out of it, whether in terms of revenue appreciation or capital appreciation. So suppose you bought a property, maybe the capital appreciation will happen over 2-3 years or over some period of time. And there would be certain assets which you buy, you can rent them out. There could be certain assets which you give on, loan or keep it in your fixed deposit and you will earn some interest from it. So always try to create, especially in metropolitan cities because the cost of living is quite high. Try to get a second income as soon as possible. It could be another family member which is earning. It will keep you in good stead. You will have more liquidity in your hand. It could be a second source of income, maybe from rent or maybe from interest, maybe from dividend, maybe from royalty, maybe you do a side job or side hustle, So there are a lot of things to do it. And of course, the starting 5 to 10 years of your career are always going to be the most important because by end of 10 years, if you have even some small pockets in your hand, you can then utilize that money to get a third or a fourth source of income. If I may give an example, you can think of it like a bucket, So your bucket or a piggy bank, whatever it is, as many pipes through which the water is flowing in, the faster the bucket will fill. And as many holes there are there in the bucket, that much outflow is happening. Those are your expenses. So your speed of saving will reduce the bigger the holes. So whatever expenses you're doing, ostentatious consumption you're doing, you're trying to be better than the Joneses, it's not going to help so much because ultimately, what knowledge you have, what validation you're doing to the system, that will take you much higher.
Yes, absolutely true. So it is a wonderful way of explaining how to manage your personal finance. I would also like to put across to our audience, Ms Shubha is also an author and she has written a book named Going Nuts. I just like to show it to you. And the most wonderful thing about in this book is this is also about how to manage your finances. And this is in a very storytelling way, a very compelling way, in which in a very simplified way she tries to explain how a particular person or family gets into the debt trap. Shubha would like to tell something more about this book and what made you think of this concept actually then come out with a book.
Certainly, sir. Thank you for bringing this up. In 2008, if you remember, there was the US financial meltdown. That time I was working with an MNC. And till one particular day, we were hiring hundreds of people every month. And suddenly that entire fiasco happened. I'm sure everybody remembers about it, the US financial meltdown, which spilled over into the global economy. And from the next day itself, we were retrenching people. And that came as a big shocker for me because nobody was thinking about what will happen to those people or to their families, how are they going to manage their finances and, how the company is going to run. So that set me thinking that not only were the companies and the corporates over leveraged, at the same time, even at a personal level, people were highly leveraged. There were too many loans, too much debt in the system, the American way of living, materialism, and that's how I came upon this concept. It took me 6-7 years to actually write this book, another 1 year to edit it because I was in a full-time job and family and everything. But somehow I kept writing, and This book was it was inaugurated by Dr. Ms Sharma ji, who was then Cabinet Minister for Culture and Tourism, and it got a fabulous launch. The entire publishing industry was there. It was at Delhi Book Fair 2018, and we had a lovely launch. He even penned the foreword for it, and he actually said on stage that this is really such a pertinent topic. So the book is available on Amazon. You can just go and write the name. The name is Going Nuts by Shubha Singh. And I'll just briefly tell you what the book is about. It's about a newly married couple. It's a novel. Okay, and how they get into the debt trap because of aspirational lifestyle, consumerism, and they're both trying to please each other and trying to look good in front of all their friends and relatives. And then there's an analogy. The analogy is I have used weather as the external forces, the economy, the macroeconomy. So what happens when the weather changes and things go out of hand? So winters are, this is a squirrel couple, and they are, getting walnuts and peanuts and converting it slowly into gold coins and all. And the name of this couple is Splurge because they keep spending money. And Mr. Banks is the python, and he's the one who keeps offering them credit, and that is how they get into the debt trap. He keeps offering them credit in various ways and keeps enticing them to borrow more and more. Now, when the economy changes, the external factors change, and winters set in. There are no walnuts, there are no peanuts. So basically, there are less earning opportunities. So then, how do they cope with it, and how they come out of it? Also, I have touched upon a very important topic, which I think a lot of, especially in Indian businesses and Indians who are coming out with novel ideas, should use more of, and that is IPR, intellectual property rights. So be it a patent or a trademark or a copyright, how Indians need to use more and more of these, legal weapons which are available to us to actually monetize their own ideas rather than letting somebody else steal their idea and use it for their benefit.
Absolutely true. The title itself is very interesting, Going Nuts, and the analogy which has been created. That means you need to collect for the winter which is going to be there.
Because invariably, undoubtedly winters are going to come, whether it's a corporate or it's an individual level. And suppose it falls upon the economy, everybody is going to be impacted.
Absolutely.
So we have to be prepared for the worst, but we always hope for the best.
Yes. So this book is available on Amazon. So
you can just type Going Nuts and
yes,
you'll get it.
True. When we are talking about raising of funds, normally we talk about the corporates.
Yes.
Now there's another very big area which is there. There are going to be a lot of NGOs.
Yes.
And those NGOs, they face a lot of problem and challenges on getting across.
So not
funds.
anymore.
Not anymore. Okay.
Gone are those days when they used to have a lot of trouble. Because social media plays a very big role in creating awareness. So if an NGO is really doing work, they can project that and leverage it. And if they're not doing any work, even that will work against them, and that will also get highlighted if they're just putting fake photos and trying to do, some fake advertising.
Sure.
Okay. The other thing is, there's a CSR regulations which have come into force in 2013 with the New Companies Act, which makes it mandatory for all the companies to spend a particular amount of money basis their last 3 years profitability on as a corporate social responsibility, because we are corporate citizens.
Yes.
So we have to do something for the upliftment of the people, of the environment, for poverty alleviation, for health. So there are various avenues which have been listed out in the schedule to the Companies Act, and NGOs have really got their act together, come forward, and they have joined hands with corporates and various industrial bodies like FICCI and PhD and all these big bodies, and together they are doing a lot of good work, and you can see it at the ground level. There are midday meals, and there are a lot of medical health camps, a lot of medical facilities which are happening, a lot of things which are being done for the environment and actually being done. The corporates benefit because A, they are complying with the law, B, they are advertising and highlighting it on their portals and in their annual reports, and it's very important because corporate also has to have a CSR committee, which is a mandatory committee. It's a subcommittee of the board. So that thing is also reviewed, how the work is, how the that allocated amount is being spent and whether it is for legitimate purposes. At the same time, whatever work they are doing there, they are putting up banners and doing some branding work there also. So it is very important to be a good corporate citizen.
True.
So that is how NGOs can raise funds. It's not difficult. And thirdly, I see also NGOs host a lot of events these days,
Yes.
online and offline events. That is also a big, fundraisers basically.
The NGOs can prepare some sort of like what they are doing, a concept paper on it, then they can approach the corporate CSR committee. And since there is going to be certain funds earmarked for it, like if the corporate's vision and the NGO's activity, they are matching with each other, in that case definitely they stand a chance. Now, but like it's not like as an NGO, it's not that you just raise a fund and then you don't do anything. So very first thing is you have to start doing good work, then approach the corporates, and definitely there is going to be some help which is always going to be there with you.
And the CSR committee mandatorily reviews how the funds have been allocated and exactly what work has been done. Sometimes I've seen them even making the effort of doing surprise visits and all that, just to ensure.
Just to ensure the
Yes,
funds are
that the funds are
properly
legitimately
being
used for legitimate purposes.
When we talk about the small companies, the challenges are immense. Like in an NGO, if challenges are immense, for a small company, the owner itself is the finance head, he himself is the HR head, he himself is the marketing head, and he has to manage the production and operations also. And normally in India we have seen that people start the business with their own funds, self funds are there, and then gradually they grow up, and after some time, after 5 years, 10 years, when they get across to a certain level, then they look forward for getting across certain fundings. Now, how can a particular small business owner really organize himself so that once he starts and then he plans to make it in a big way? That's what he advised to them actually.
So the visionary or the entrepreneur is like a one-man army, like you rightly said, because he's managing all the functions, whether or not he has knowledge of them, but somehow through trial and error he will find a way. And his grit and determination will certainly get him through. That's for sure. Now, my advice to everybody is that from the day one, you start planning and organizing your records, your work, your financials especially, your tax records, all of it properly. One cannot afford to be, careless about these things, that okay, we'll do it after maybe when we, scale up. Because then it's very difficult to do backdated work, and there may be penalties which they may face unnecessarily, which could be very easily avoided. So get some expert help. You don't necessarily need to employ all the people. You can just get them in as consultants or get some good help for various fields of your work. Maintain your record properly, be compliant, and have a larger vision so that okay, maybe 3 years, 5 years down the line, I plan to raise funds or I plan to touch a bank for some, borrowing. Because even banks will do their due diligence. And once your shop is in order, it's much easier for you to put across your viewpoint and to convince other people to join forces with you. You can get additional resources. There are plenty of resources which are available. It's just that your vision you have to translate into their mind so that they know that you're a genuine person.
Absolutely true.
Strategic planning, that's where it comes into play.
True. Actually, even if you are running a small business, you need to be into that compliant zone. If you are having those compliances and you are maintaining a records of that, so at the end of the day, whether it's after 5 years, 10 years, whenever you feel like that you need to raise the funds and everything, you already have got very clean record there with you, and that itself is a big help. And definitely there are a lot many like software nowadays which are available. You can take the help of any of the software which helps you across in managing your day-to-day finances also, long-term finances also, get across all those.
Your tax records also.
Tax records also,
yes. And they're very reasonably priced. They're very accessible.
They're very accessible, absolutely true. So that is a big help. So our advice is that those software needs to be used so that as a small entrepreneur also, like you are able to get across all the things in a right way. Now, in today's scenario in corporate world, there's a lot of talk about sustainability.
Yes.
The environment, we all have seen across the concerns regarding the environment which are there, the sustainability which are there. I've seen across, you have written across a wonderful paper which was published in the Chartered Secretary magazine also, and that too in the month of April itself.
Yes,
just
just
now.
recently. Yes.
Yes, yes. So like, can you give a small brief regarding what are the key factors that need to be taken care of if any organization wants to implement the ESG frameworks?
Certainly, sir. So this article was titled Viksit Bharat, Sustainability and Sustainable Development. So it was a 9-page article, quite wordy, and comprehensively I tried to cover all the measures which are now being put into the governance framework and the regulatory framework by the government, trying to incentivize corporates to not only do CSR but also do ESG. So if we see, to a great extent, ESG and CSR are also intertwined, because here you're doing corporate social responsibility and this is environment, social governance, sustainability and governance. So they are also intertwined, and environment is now going to take the center stage. We have to reduce the toxicity of our products. We have to reduce, one-time use products, and we have to move towards recycling and renewing and energizing the environment. Reduce the waste, basically, from whether it is systems or processes or products, and try to move towards a greener earth. Because ultimately, what are we leaving for our future generations? We can't leave a garbage-ridden earth. There is no earth to, as of now.
Yes, true. There's no second place to move around. Another very important concept is that of strategy building. Finance and strategy goes hand in hand, basically. And strategy encompasses around everything around the finances, managing all the finances. And you have been into various strategic functions. So how do you perceive and see across the strategy from the corporate angle, and what's your advice to the, bigger corporate, they have got resources, but the smaller businesses, they don't have much of the resources with them.
But they have a lot of drive.
Yes, yes, drive and passion, that is only
and
the
they
name.
have agility. Smaller
Agility.
businesses have agility which larger corporates don't.
Don't.
So sometimes we find that in smaller corporates, the decision will be taken and implemented before the larger corporate can even fine-tune the thought or the strategy. So then, of course, they have the first mover advantage.
Yes, definitely. So like,
Look at what BYOD has done to Tesla,
yeah, absolutely true.
for
absolutely true.
example. I mean, just an example.
So how can like a smaller business unit organize their strategic functions?
I think it requires a lot of planning, foresight, and organizing. Get an expert help wherever you can, whenever you can. And your vision should be very clear. Where you are, what you want to do, what is the USP of your product, how you are going to brand yourself and place yourself in the market. There has to be a proper risk analysis process, risk management process, no matter what strategy we are taking. And as you already know, there's a specific risk management committee also which corporates have. Yes, so it has, besides the CFO, it has a few board members. And this is also a very important committee. Now, when we talk of risk, so risk management function can be broken up into risk identification, risk assessment, and risk mitigation. And of course, the fourth step is the risk reviewing the entire thing of whatever has happened. So for risk identification itself, it's a very comprehensive exercise. It is done by talking to the various functional heads, talking to the board, talking to all your auditors, be it statutory auditor, internal auditor, your cost auditor, even your secretarial auditor, and God forbid if there's a forensic auditor also. So, and then get a holistic view of what are the various risks, internal and external, that the company is facing or may face. Okay, in the future, maybe timelines, 2 years, 3 years, whatever it is. Now, these risks can be internal or they can be external. External risks, little bit difficult to, identify completely and very difficult to control. But internal risks are to a great extent within our controls through proper measures and proper planning, proper management places in proper management techniques in place. So, and then after the risk identification comes the risk assessment, near term, medium term, long term. And what is the weightage of each risk? How important is it? Is it a high risk, medium risk, or a low risk? And then we have to see man, material, machines, and money, all the four angles, how the risk is coming into play. And then there is, of course, your very important, how I also do it, is your 7 P's which come into play. Your product, price, promotion, place, physical presence,
physical evidence,
processes, and people. So that is how it is. So we have to cover all these angles. After this comes your risk mitigation. Are we going to give it to somebody else? Are we going to insure it? Are we going to transfer the risk? Or are we going to retain it and manage the risk ourselves? Are we going to self-insure? Or are we just going to live with it? So for example, there are forest risks. So are we going to take some forwards or futures or something like that to cover that risk? Are we going to create a corpus ourselves so that just in case there is some fire or some kind of anomaly or some kind of accident, are we going to use that self-insured corpus, which we are putting aside? Are we going to use that, or are we going to simply take an external policy for insurance? These days, even directors and officers liability, almost all the corporates are taking that, and I find it actually very useful, in addition to all the other insurance policies and coverages. And then, of course, there is the risk review process, which is like a periodical review. Every 6 months or an year, you would like to review what was the document you put in place, what are the changes, and what are the new things that you have to cope with.
Absolutely true. In today's scenario, definitely there are so many factors which are working around us, and definitely there are so many different models also, strategic models also. If you want to assess the environmental risks, there's a very simple model which is going to be there. You want to identify your market risk, there are going to be very simple models which are going to be there. And definitely these all models, they help us in understanding and evaluating our current position. And definitely this has to be reviewed. It might be 6 months, it might be an year, depending upon your business. You have to identify the frequency, and then gradually you have to get across onto that risk assessment. So that is very, very essential. Shubha, you have done your BCom, then you did your LLB, your CS. So what made your mind to do your MBA also, and that too from IMT, Center for Distance Learning?
So I have a lot of MBA friends. And during my college days, I actually wanted to, do MBA, big time. I really wanted to do, but somehow, I don't know, my parents, they just, channelized me towards this legal and finance field. But it was always a dream that I wanted to do an MBA and wanted to do a really decent MBA from a very good place. And IMT is certainly very reputed, especially for working professionals. It gives us an edge over, everybody else, and in any field, no matter what we are doing, it really. So if you don't mind my analogy, I think it's like a potato. An MBA is like a potato because, you can use it with any vegetable. It'll add to the flavor, it'll add to the content. It gives you a broad base. And whatever knowledge we acquire, it opens doors for us.
Absolutely true.
So it is a lot of deep work. In my case, what happened was I used to travel to Gurgaon in those days, and I was getting very fed up that I'm wasting half my life just traveling because it was a very long distance from my house. And I thought I'll go crazy, I'll go nuts, if I don't do something worthwhile. So, and that time I came across some advertisement of IMT CDL, and I thought, okay, this is what I'm going to do. At the same time, my daughter at home, she was in primary school, and she used to keep telling me, oh, it's very easy, you just pick your bag and you go to office. And in those days, when you studied, it was very easy to score marks. These days, it's very difficult. You have no idea how difficult the education system is. So that time, my husband and me, we both thought, okay, let us lead by example. He also joined an MBA, and I joined MBA from IMT CDL, and I got wonderful marks. And I was reporting into the MD of the company at that period of time. I was the KMP, and also I was reporting into the MD, and I went to him with a degree directly when I got it, and he was amazed and he congratulated me. He called half the office and there was clapping and everything, and then I got a double promotion, which was the icing on the cake, which was a very, very big thing for me because I was in such a profile that it's not easy to get a promotion, And he gave me a double promotion and a wow increment. And The other advantage was, of course, my daughter was very impressed and she said, okay, I also better study because it is possible. She has done it with a full-time job.
True.
So, that also encouraged her to study better and do academically better. So, I got a double reward from this MBA.
True. So this is the another advantage that I see across, a motivation to our kids also. I've seen across they are the parents and child. They both are doing MBA simultaneously from IMT.
Oh,
Yeah, so
wonderful.
that itself is a big a motivation. Like you are doing something along with your job, managing the various challenges, the work-life balance and everything, and then achieving something. That achievement is much more meaningful rather than full-time doing only the studies and then getting across an MBA degree. And definitely, like you rightly pointed out, MBA is like a potato. What we see across is that it is a way of thinking, it is a way of living the life. You are able to see the different perspectives of the people. You are able to really appreciate what a marketing guy would be doing, what a finance guy would be doing, what as an HR would be doing, what are the legal compliances, how they can affect your business. So, and you are able to see a bigger picture. So that itself is very helpful for any individual who's working in a corporate to really understand.
And we hone our communication skills, our presentation skills. We develop that confidence, that yes, we can speak. So once you have developed that confidence of speaking, you can speak at any forum,
Yes.
on any topic.
On any topic.
It's as simple as that. Maybe if I had not done the MBA, I may not have had that confidence of writing a book and presenting the book on the stage in front of the entire publishing industry. There were 500 people which were present there.
Yes.
True. So, a lot of it is just a lot of personality development. It broadens your horizon. It tells you about a lot of other things, because sometimes we are sitting in a silo and we're thinking, oh, I'm very important to the corporate. I'm doing all the work, and the others are just lazing around. But it's not like that. Everybody has their own challenges. Each function is a key contributor to the success of any setup.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, I see across, Shubha has been a guest speaker at many forums and seminars, especially those relating to the compliances, laws, corporate governance, VERA, etc. And I'm very pleased to inform everybody here that she has been also awarded Exemplary Woman Director Award for listed companies in 2023. Congratulations, Shubha, for it. Tell us something about this award.
So this was a Women Directors Conclave, which was held in December 2023 at BSc Convention Center in Mumbai.
Okay.
And Honorable Minister Smriti Irani ji and Dr. Kiran Bedi, they had presided over this conclave. There were a lot of speakers and a lot of eminent guests which were there, including from NSE, BSc, ICSI, ICAI, IOD, and many such exemplary institutes, which are held in very high esteem, and which are the spinal cord, I can say, the support system for corporate governance in India. And being a director, I've been a director on the board of listed companies and unlisted companies, and also a part of many committees. So they probably thought that I deserve it.
No, like seeing your portfolio and the achievement, yes, you are the one who deserves it. Most of the times, the student face a problem in terms of setting up of their goals.
Yes.
And second thing, normally they come and they put it across that how to maintain the work-life balance across, specifically when you are already working and having a family and everything. With the family itself, you have done your the MBA in place. So already, would you like to give some advice to our students and other professionals?
Actually, sir, personally speaking, I feel that goal setting is very important. Whether it is at a micro level or it is at a macro level. And I take this exercise very seriously. I have made a small Excel sheet in which I make my goals. And I spent 1 week, the last week of every financial year, of every calendar year, because that's the lean time from 25th December till 31st December. Work is a little less, it's a lean time. And I spent that 1 week just reviewing and setting new goals and reviewing my past, whatever I have done. And I set quarterly goals. So for each quarter, and there are 4 or 5 aspects in which I set a goal. So one is the health. So for health, it'll be very simple. It'll be like maybe I just want to exercise for 3 hours every week. And there will be one cheat day. So maybe a Sunday or something wherein I cheat and I eat whatever I want to. Other days I'm a little more conscious, because these days lifestyle is too sedentary, there's too much stress, so one has to take care of the health. Health is the first wealth. And I make it a point to meditate at least 2 hours every week. And I meditate regularly, maybe it'll be just from 15 minutes to half an hour. But I do spend that much time on myself, just to keep my mind and my self in order and to align myself. So those, for instance, are health goals. Then there can be maybe career goals. Maybe I want to get an additional qualification, some studies I want to do. Maybe I'll set a goal of, okay, I'm going to get 3 published articles in this quarter, something like that. Or maybe I'll speak at 2 or 3 forums. So whatever it is, so there's going to be some goal in that area. Then there is, of course, the finances. So maybe I'm looking at more passive incomes. Maybe I want to increase my active income, whatever it is. So there will be that one goal. Then something related to the family. Maybe 2 family outings in a year. It's a small goal. But still, if you put it on a sheet, and if you've not done it at the end of the year, you better do it, because you've not achieved your goal. Or spending some amount of time, particular amount of quality time with the children. So these are all small goals, but for me they're very important because it aligns me that I have to spend quality time. And for me, quality time doesn't mean going to a mall or going shopping. It'll be to a park or to some nice place or to meet some relatives or doing some creative work together. So for instance, last Diwali, my daughter and me, we made a lot of candles.
Okay.
And, we put it up on social media, we sold, we marketed, and we got huge response. But that was one creative endeavor in which we were both together. We were engaged together.
True.
So those kind of activities.
So again, this is a wonderful way of looking forward and organizing ourselves. Small goals, whether in terms of health, in terms of your recreation, in terms of your rejuvenation, and small creative endeavors. That it's also an integral part of our personality. So goals need not to be, I need to be earning so much. It might be just a small goal and that
money will follow. You do a good job, money will simply follow. Money is not like a goal,
Yes.
It's the end result.
It's the end result.
Of a job well done.
True. So these small goals, they are going to help us in organizing ourselves and giving us the right level of motivation and managing our environment in a better way. If our mental health and physical health is good, definitely all of the things are going to be falling in place. Shubha, we can go on talking and so much of things regarding that. But now it's time to really close the things around. Just small last advice for the our students and all our audiences who are actually listening here. If they want to enter into corporate finance, I've seen a lot of my students, they have got a pencil, I want to get into corporate finance, I want to this, I want to do that. So any advice, they study the finance subjects, but somehow they're not able to enter or make a mark into it. So what additional they would like to be doing and what additional things you advise to them?
So corporate finance is very wide and it's very crucial. A lot of people who are required, in corporate finance, there's no dearth of requirement, there's a huge demand, if I may say so. In fact, I'm sure that the supply is not meeting the demand because I see in corporates there are so many people who are required in various aspects of corporate finance. There are people who are required as analysts, people who are required as part of the due diligence processes, people who are required to deal with auditors, people who are required to deal with lenders, your various different stakeholders. And there is a lot of scope in advisory. Advisory is a very big piece. External advisors and the big four, and of course the next levels, not just the big four. But so there's a lot of scope in advisory and consultancy also. I think if you're just clear and you do deep work, get your concepts clear, and the vision itself will pull you. Your dedication will get you through, I think. So
Yes.
so you have to have a vision and hard work.
True.
Nothing beats hard work.
Yes, absolutely true. And do a lot of reading. And read across a lot. Try to be aware around the things what are happening around you.
Nothing beats reading. Social
Yes.
media is no competition for reading,
Reading.
because what you read and learn and grasp, and then when you put that into practice, the results are going to be stupendous. And I've been an ardent reader throughout my life. I'm from DPS Noida. Until date, I'm sure the librarian recognizes me, because throughout my summer holidays, I used to be the first person to reach the library, sit there for 3 hours, and then when he had to lock the library, that is when I would exit the library. It was like this. And that's how I got so much into writing and other interests.
True.
Even right now, I've penned a poem on corporate governance. It's going to be
Okay.
published soon in one of the renowned publications. So
Okay.
once it gets published, I'll send you a copy.
Good. So we'll share with all our audiences. Now, again, it is very evident that your passion and the commitment is truly inspiring. As we conclude the session today, it is clear that if you aim for something, even though it may be a lofty ambition, it can be attained. What we need is, we simply need to expand our horizon. I'm pretty impressed by the goal setting examples, like small examples which are definitely going to make a lot of change in our thought process, in our personality. Thank you for Shubha for sharing that here with
Thank you,
us.
sir. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Overall, I'm sure our audience has got a wonderful insights from you. We wish you best of luck for your future endeavors. Your multifaceted talent, adaptability and resilience in overcoming obstacles demonstrate your dedication and leadership.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Shubha, for here being with
Thank you
us.
so much. It's
Thank
been
you,
an honor.
audiences. Thank you.
It's really been an honor. Thank you. Thank you.